And again, we want that little road map here, okay? And so as we're coming up, we're going to see a couple of things too that were on your little viscera sheet that we didn't quite cover yet. Okay, so obviously we can see the trachea really well now. Okay, now behind the trachea or to the side, it might be shoved to the side as it is in this cat. This right here is the esophagus. Okay, so we can see the esophagus here now on the viscera. One of the things that we couldn't see until we got up in here. So my trachea, there's my esophagus. Now, up here you're going to see tiny little nodules, little brown nodule right here. That little brown nodule is the thyroid gland. Okay, now, and you have another one, but it may not be as easily seen, so I may not worry about it. Okay, so I don't see them as easily, so I'm not going to dig. But you're going to get this little tiny nodule thing hugging the trachea, and that's going to be the thyroid gland. Now, what we want to do now is we want to get rid of all of our neck muscles. Okay? So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get rid of our neck muscle here. But we want to be super careful here on these vessels. We don't want to rip them. Now, we follow our carotid. Okay, so I've got my left common carotid coming up here. And you want to look for where the blood vessel is going to come in and loop around onto my thyroid gland. Now, this one branches here. And you want to be real delicate in here, because there's a lot of connective tissue to remove. But again, you want to be real careful on the red blood vessels. What this one's doing is this one's branching. It's not always going to look this way, but this one happens to be, and we have to kind of understand that. I think when Mr. Westmoreland was in here saying these cats are all messed up and this is supposed to be here and this looks like it goes here, I think he was saying some things like that, right? I think someone was saying that. It turns out that there is variation in the way that the blood vessels are going to be lined out. We all have the same blood vessels. They just don't look the same. In many cases, I didn't get to go over this, but the way that the aorta and my carotids and my subclavians and my brachiocephalics all kind of branch off of my aorta have 3 different types of patterns that you might see in the cat. And so all the vessels go the same way and they all develop in the same way. Just the route they take might just be a little bit different. And so with this guy, what we see here is the first set of blood vessels we see is we see a little tiny one branch off of here. But yet it branches and it goes above, right across to my thyroid, and then right up here to my larynx. Now, it's not always going to look that way. Okay? You may actually have 2 distinct blood vessels branching from 2 different distinct points, the way that the diagram has it here. Alright, but what we want to look at is we want to look for those blood vessels going right along, hugging my thyroid, and then hugging and going to my larynx here. The one that loops around over my thyroid, this little one right here, is called my superior thyroid. The one above it is the laryngeal. Then I can see another one right here. That's branching off almost directly across where that superior thyroid is going to start. Okay, now, the one that comes across over this way, right here, this little bitty guy right here, that little bitty guy is the muscularis. Okay, so on my handout here, my thyroid is going to come up and go over to my thyroid gland. Oh, wait, I actually see something different. Hold on. Wait. Hold on, I got a different branch here. Coming off here. Let me see that little branch real quick before I say anything else. Okay, no, never mind. Alright, so we're good. Alright, coming across here is going to be my superior thyroid, right here. Okay. This is my muscularis right here. Now, let me see. Here we go. Any further. He's coming off here. Let's see. Off here. Okay. Okay, we'll see. Okay.
Is that on the blackboard? No, it's in that down. Okay, so I think I love
Alright, I found another one here. Let me rephrase what I said here. Alright, so here. This is my left common carotid. This one going off here to these muscles here in the neck is my muscularis. This one here is my superior thyroid, because I have one right here that's very tiny coming up right here to the top part of my larynx. That is my laryngeal right here. So he is actually a separate one on this one. Okay, so that little tiny one coming off right here going to the larynx is the laryngeal. So I do have my superior thyroid here, but it is actually branching into two. But this is my superior thyroid. Here's my laryngeal right here. Okay, so I've got left common carotid, muscularis, superior thyroid is this one little branch right here, and then coming up right here to the superior part of my larynx, this is going to be my laryngeal. Okay, now we're going to follow it off, and what we need to do now is we need to come in and we need to get rid of the digastric muscle. And so down here you should feel a hard bone. You can hear it? Okay. We want to cut down there where that bone is and free the digastric up that way. Okay? You want to feel for that bone, and that's where you want to grab your digastric and begin removing it. I'm having trouble doing that. Okay. 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 Now, you want to keep following. There's a lot of fascia right in here, and so our carotid is going to be a little bit hidden. And you want to take easy snips right up under there. Alright, so we follow it up. We now are going to hit what's called the lingual. There's going to be a big branch right here, right above my laryngeal here. I'm going to get a branch right here. Under the tongue, this is the lingual artery right here. Okay, so that's my lingual, coming up right up under his chin and going up under here to his tongue. Now, back in here, once we get to that lingual, the road changes again. And from the lingual A lot to clean, a lot of fascia, so be real careful and gentle as you come in here and start cleaning this all up in here. Okay, now from my lingual, at that point we're going to branch, and the branch is going to be this guy right here. Okay, now this right here that I'm holding in my forceps now becomes what's called the external carotid. Alright, so if I follow up, left common carotid, muscularis, superior thyroid, laryngeal, the lingual branches off this way. Now what I'm holding in my forceps is another chain. It's still a change in the name. Here's my left common carotid, but when I hit the lingual and it branches off this way, this is now called my external carotid. Okay, external carotid. Now, we're going to follow them up. I'm going to dissect this guy out right here. My external carotid is going to take and make some branches. One of the branches of my external carotid is going to come off, and it is going to be my internal maxillary. Okay, so come up here. Now, up here, you just have to dig around to get to this blood vessel right up in here. Alright, now what I have here that I'm digging out is my parotid salivary gland. Okay. Alright, so this right here, this is a really good one. Alright, here's my external carotid right here. And coming off of my external carotid, I'm going to have another little branch right in here. Okay, now this is where it gets a little trickier. It isn't tricky enough already. Okay, so this just takes a little time. Oops, don't want to cut that right there. That right there. Alright, now look. It gets real tricky. This guy right here I'm holding in my forceps is the external carotid. Remember, this guy coming up here is going to be my lingual. Now, right into this, we get to this branch here. Down in here, he's my internal maxillary right there. External maxillary is this little tiny juncture where these two branched and come together right here. And if you can kind of see where I've got a little tiny nub just right there. That's the external maxillary. The big one going back down deep into the back of the head is the internal maxillary. This little bitty one you salivary gland, and this is my parotid artery. My other branch is going to be my submental to my labial. And I've got both of them right here. They're very tiny. Alright, so what I've got here is I've got my submental and my labial. So here I can see my parotid here. Then I have my submental and my labial. Here's my parotid. This one right here is my submental, and you can follow him all the way up right here. And I'll go over them again once I get everybody. Okay, perfect. Okay. This guy right here, your still a little bit of fascia connected to him, but this guy going right here is my submental, and you can see him all the way up under the chin. And then I have a little tiny blood vessel coming over and crossing over my masseter, my big cheek muscle. That's my labial right there. Okay? So we start all over here. Here's my left common carotid. It's going to come up, and I'm going to see two blood vessels that are going to go in opposite directions. One toward the neck muscles, one towards my trachea. The one going toward my neck muscles, and this just needs to be cleaned up right here, is my muscularis. The one coming across here is my superior thyroid. That's this guy here. I come up a little bit further, I have my teeny tiny, okay, right here, my laryngeal. From my laryngeal, the one going here up under my tongue, this big one, is going to be my lingual. And then I have this fork in the road right here. That's where that blood vessel, when it forks from the lingual, becomes my external carotid. Then I'm going to see another branching right here of this one and this one. That little tiny branch that I'm holding just right with my forceps is now going to be my external maxillary. The blood vessel that's going to go deep down here into the back is the internal maxillary. Then from my external maxillary, I'm going to have a branch come across here to my parotid salivary gland, which is called my parotid. And then I have one that comes up and branches and goes all the way up under my chin and hugs the lower jawbone, the lower the mandible. And then I have a branch that comes right across here to the cheek, and that one is the labial. Okay? Any questions? All right?